Welcome to Freedom Biz Now, the show dedicated to showcasing the best and brightest in business, big and small. Now, welcome the host, founding partner of Freedom Sports and Entertainment and the Freedom Digital Network, from RockVox Studios in Rochester, New York, Mark Washoe.
Thank you, Scott, and RockVox Studio here in Rochester, New York, for the introduction to Freedom Biz Now, as always. Today, we have a special guest with us. Her name is Rumella Cameron. She's the CEO and founder of Conversance Business Solutions. She's also a real estate agent at Keller Williams Realty. So, Rumella, welcome, and thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk with you because I know you have a really extensive background and some really fascinating aspects to what you do. So, but first of all, let's start off with Conversance Business Solutions, and tell us a little bit about the business, kind of the services you provide, and let's just start with that as the initial conversation piece.
So I founded this company in 2015, where you were a full-service administrative support and consultancy firm. We work with small to medium-sized businesses. Some of the services that we do offer is virtual assistant services, business planning, consultation, and we just started incorporating credit repair. I believe in the beginning of this year, a lot of business owners were coming to us, seeking funding, obviously, for them to grow. But when you're looking at trying to apply for a loan for a business, and it's a very new business, they look at your personal credit. So I felt like it was important for us to bring that in.
Yeah. So tell me.
I do a little bit of everything almost.
Yeah. So how did you kind of get started? Meaning, what gaps or shortfalls did you feel were out there as it relates to business owners, where you felt like you could provide that solution?
So I was actually temping for ESL. I was in the mortgage department, and the thing is, I wasn't aware that this position was something that was temporary. And when they came to me like a month into this assignment, they was like, "Oh, technically, it's going to be your last day, but we want to extend this for another 6 months because the workflow is heavy and our processors and underwriters, they're feeling overwhelmed and they need support." So now here I am on another job search, because I just finished college. And I was like, okay, I got to do something, and then it clicked and dawned on me like, you know what? If they're having this issue, I can only imagine how other small businesses that don't have the support, how they can benefit from having someone provide them outsourced administrative, services, being able to outsource little things that's like handling your calendar or helping you book appointments or help you with lead generation. And it just blossomed from there.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I was going to ask you a broader question just about like outsourcing in general, but and some of this was happening pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But then when COVID happened and then companies started having to furlough employees, lay off employees, it seems to me like this might be an emerging trend in business in general. And I'm starting to see business units like HR, even finance and accounting, even sales starting to kind of get outsourced. So do you see that this is like a emerging trend now? And do you think it's been enhanced because of COVID, or do you think this was happening regardless of COVID or not?
So I did a lot of research before I actually launched my business. In this particular sector or industry, which is unknown to a lot of people, it actually, for years, it was something that was growing, like market research into it. They said this was a $5 billion industry. Now, COVID comes along. I've been trying to teach people how to outsource or, be able to leverage their work so they can focus on the big goal, what it is that they do best. And with COVID, it's like now everyone's like, oh, we have to go virtual. Like, I already had my system set up for this, because I've been working with businesses locally. I've been working with businesses across the country from all the way up to Nevada. And, we also have contacts outside of the states. So I've been working with programs like Zoom and GoToMeeting for years. And now it's like,
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel fortunate because I was also like an early adapter to the virtual world. The first time it was introduced to me was with a women's professional soccer team down in the DC area, and I was really skeptical at first. I was like, how's this going to work? Like, I'm used to everybody being right in the same place all the time. And meanwhile, once you get on your emails and you start having your conference calls and your Zoom meetings or go-to meetings, it feels no different in many ways. So the fact that you're kind of in this space, I'm sure is really, really helping because it is foreign to a lot of people and people are still trying to get accustomed to it. But I know we kind of just jumped right into what you're doing with Conversance. But what led you, like, tell us a little bit more about your background. I know you'd said something about you'd recently got out of school, but tell us a little bit about kind of what your background is and how that kind of led you to this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So in high school, I went to Edison Tech. And I went there for business entrepreneurship and finance. So it's always been in my blood to want to become an entrepreneur and start a business. And then just over the years, I went to college for business administration, criminal justice, and military science because I was doing the Army ROTC in high school all the way through to college. So I went to GCC and Brockport. But, I just feel like I'm the type of person that I feel like I'm a leader, right? So when I decided to even start this business, to come up with this concept, I was like, listen, this is like, I feel like I haven't even reached the masses yet. Like I've only touched the surface. And it's like, there's so much that we can do being able to provide a service like that because you can take advantage of the digital world. We have all this technology literally at the palm of our hands. Why not use it to its fullest potential? And be able to provide services in areas that you didn't think you can even reach.
Yeah. And it's another point I was going to mention and ask you as well. So we had first got connected through the Startup Summit event in Rochester, which was last October in Jiva Theater. It's amazing not only how long ago that was, but it doesn't seem that long, and also how much the world has changed in that time frame. But I imagine a lot of your business is based on relationships and networking. And so pre-COVID, how did you kind of approach the networking, relationship building side of things, like a Startup Summit event? And then since it's happened, when things have gotten pushed way more into the virtual world, because we couldn't even have the Startup Summit this year, for example, how has that changed for you or remained the same? So can you speak a little bit to the relationship networking side of it?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm a professional connector. I'm a professional networker. Like I love to converse with people and just talk because for me, you have to build some type of like a level of trust, especially when you're working with a business owner. Like that's their baby. So you got to be able to have confidence in me that I can even provide the services that I told you I can provide. So for me, I was going to all types of different events, just trying to be, in the crowd, just making sure my face was out there. Like everyone that knows me is like, oh my God, you're everywhere. Like you have to be sometimes because that's the only way you can actually truly network. But now because of COVID, there hasn't been that many events at all. And a lot of it has been online. And when you're on these Zoom calls, a lot of people don't want to turn their cameras on. Right. They might have the mics off.
They just got out of bed.
Yeah. So it's like, I really did have to pivot and adapt to strictly virtual because even though I was providing that service virtually, I still was, going places and just being out there and just talking and just building those relationships and opportunities come out of it. But now it's a lot of LinkedIn, a lot of social media platform that I'm utilizing to try to even, generate some type of conversation. Because, I'm a salesperson too, in a sense, but I'm not in your face with it. Like it's more of a gentle touch. Like, let's just have a conversation first. So now it's just, hey, like, can we talk over the phone? Can we have a virtual coffee? And that's pretty much how I've been adapting.
Yeah. Well, back to the Startup Summit for a moment, because you did touch on another point. I want to ask you about social media too. But one thing that was really surprising to me was, and it was the first time I had endeavored on an event like that through my agency and kind of on my own. But we could have had more attendance. I think our speakers were really strong. But one of the nice takeaways that I heard from a lot of people that attended was that they had a lot of great relationships and connections and follow-up business opportunities. more than I even knew was going on at the time. So how was your experience kind of coming out of that event as well? Because I know you had decided right away that you wanted to be part of this year's, which is amazing, and we thank you for that. So what were your takeaways from that event?
I mean, I enjoyed it. Like, it was different for me because this was like the first event that I had the opportunity to actually present my business in front of a crowd on a stage. So I was like, oh my God, like, because you never know like how people are going to receive that information. So it's like, okay, but I went up there and I winged it.
Yes, totally. And you did well.
And a lot of people came up to me after this, after I spoke and, hey, I want to talk to you. I have a business, I'm looking to do this. And I actually did sign a client or two out of that. So thank you for even, creating a platform that allowed businesses to connect with each other. But it was a wonderful experience. We had a great time. Me and my team was there. We had our table set up. So as soon as, everyone came in, we were like, you had to see us. We was like one of the first tables. And hey, how you doing? Come stop by, talk, let me see what you got going on. And it was just a wonderful experience. And then I saw that you were doing it again this year. Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah, and it's a little frustrating, and part of it is just we're all living through this crisis, but we were going to have it even better this year because all the consulting corner partners were going to be part of the main floor, and then there'll be a lot more. We were leaving more space for the interaction and even having the little presentations. But that's okay. We'll get a chance to do it late spring or summer.
Oh yes,
and,
absolutely.
Get a chance to maybe build on some of that momentum. But back to social media for a minute. You'd mentioned LinkedIn and then other social platforms. You even have your own videographer, which I'm jealous of in the room. Yeah, tell me about that platform, because a lot of people will say, well, all that is people up there, like they're bragging about their business, telling about how great they are. And I don't feel like it's that way. Like it should be about connecting with other people, recognizing achievement. So and then by extension, you get some of it coming back. So how do you approach the social digital media space from business development and networking?
I'm on it all the time. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I don't like Twitter too much. And Instagram. Instagram is very popular right now. And then you got Snapchat, but I don't do Snapchat for business. But for me, it's like, okay, everyone's going to their phone. They're on their phone. Like you can go to a restaurant, you can go to a park. I promise you're going to see the majority of everyone there on their phone. So for social media, which I'm assuming that's what they're looking at. I'm sure they're not checking emails.
Sure. Good point. Or deleting all the spam, all the Cyber Monday offers.
Right. Oh yeah.
Delete. Right.
Yeah. So that's how you can reach people right now. Like people are cutting off their cable boxes. They're streaming. You have to try to reach them there. And then if you're looking to build your network, they have to see what you're doing. And when they're seeing what you're doing, they're like, oh my God, she looks busy, or look what she's doing. And then eventually they're going to reach out, or they know someone that's, oh my God, I have a friend that can definitely benefit from your services. I'm always active on Facebook. Like I'm, any type of social media, LinkedIn, especially, and you have to also understand your audience. I use LinkedIn more for my business to help generate leads there, because I know I'm reaching business owners, on that platform. For Facebook, it's more, I know I have family friends on there, and I'm going to say fans because we're going to bring that up later. But for that, it's good for real estate. It's good for the credit repair because I'm now talking to consumers, even though there's business owners there as well. But almost everyone's on Facebook. So you just have to know your target market. Put content up there that you think they'll benefit from. I don't see it as you bragging, showing off. No, I just sold a house. I just had closing. Like, I'm excited for my client. I get to hand her keys today. So I'm going to share that with everyone.
Of course.
And then have people reach out. Oh my God, I want you to be my real estate agent. I want to, if they see you doing it, they're going to respond. They're going to reach out. And another thing too is you go on to Google, if you're searching for a restaurant or you're looking for some type of product, where are you looking at? You're looking at the reviews. You want to know what people are saying.
Yeah. No, that's all good points. So speaking of the real estate business, and I think another trend that's happening is people seem to be diversified these days, right? It's not all eggs in one basket or just one income or revenue stream. And I've certainly been living and breathing that myself in the last year and a half. So tell me about your real estate endeavor and what led you into that direction as well?
Absolutely. So I believe in multiple streams of income because you just never know what can happen. COVID is living proof. We're living in it right now. If you own a barbershop, your shop's probably shut down right now because you're in the orange zone, or your salon shut down because you're touching, you're near each other. So you have to be able to have some type of backup plan or just another means to be able to survive out here and provide for your family. So real estate, I got into it because one of my business clients was a realtor. And she was looking for administrative support. She needed someone to help her streamline her processes. And I brought her on as a client. I helped her, lay out the plan, the process. How are you bringing in clients, all the way down to closing. And as I'm learning more and more about the process, and I'm like, she's like, I think you'll be so good in real estate. I was like, I've always wanted, I like watching HGTV. I follow Ryan Serhant, from $1 Million Listing. I was like, let's give it a try. So I went ahead and, started learning and then got my license, and I just dived right into it.
Perfect. Yeah. Sometimes it's interesting. Here you are consulting and coaching and teaching about maybe business plans and process. And then meanwhile, you're like, all right, I'm just going to go and just go into this new field. My brother's a real estate agent down in Baltimore, by the way, and he's been doing it for a long time. So maybe I'll make that connection as well, just from a, potential mentor type thing. But, and it's interesting too, by being involved in one business, you get to know your client, and then leads you to being involved in another business. Yes. And a lot of times I feel like that's the way things kind of go now. So, And then another question I have to ask you, and this is where things get interesting, maybe. I noticed that you're a wrestler. Now, professional wrestling?
Yes.
And you were in high school and college, collegiate?
No.
So tell me about this.
That's amateur wrestling, professional wrestling like WWE.
Okay.
I'm jumping off of turnbuckles. So everyone that knows me, and I'm going to share this with the audience, I was a diehard wrestling fan growing up.
Old school, the stuff on TV, my grandfather loved it. And he was convinced to the day he passed, rest his soul, and he lived into his 90s, that it's 100% real and everything's straight up. So I never argue with him.
Be careful with your words now.
Okay. So you're a big fan.
Yes. So my grandfather, the only two channels that was on was wrestling and the news.
Fair enough.
Nothing else. So I grew up watching wrestling. Monday nights, the family, we sat around the table. We watched Monday Night Raw. And I just, I was just obsessed with it. So all of my school projects was based on wrestling career. Anything wrestling, I was talking about it. I actually still have a poster from, I believe, 10th grade that I created talking about becoming a professional wrestler and how much money they make and all that. So I'm going to tell you, and this is a funny story how I even got into the ring. So I had a buddy from high school that was like, I'm a wrestler. I was like, I don't believe you. So one day I'm flipping through the channels. It was the local channel, Channel 15, if you remember. I don't know. A lot of people might not know that now because everyone's on Netflix and all that stuff. And I was like, I seen him in the ring and he jumped off the turnbuckle. I said, stop it. I cannot believe my eyes. So I literally called the network. I said, I need to know who the promoter is because I want to get in touch with them. And they gave me his contact information, an email, and I emailed him. I reached out, and I believe I followed up. And he said, hey, we have a school right here in Rochester, so come right on down and check it out. And that's what I did. And I signed my waiver, and I got involved. I've been wrestling for 12 years now. I travel all over. I wrestle in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Canada, Tennessee, all over.
So do you have a wrestling name?
Yes.
Okay. And I should have done a little more research on this, but it popped. I was thinking all the business stuff, and then I was like, oh, okay, interesting side tidbit here. So what is your moniker or your nickname?
La Diva.
La Diva.
Yes. I have a YouTube channel.
All right.
And if you type in YouTube, La Diva versus, some of my matches will pop up.
And not unrelated question, and I've been involved with women's professional sports because I was involved with women's pro soccer, and I've got 2 daughters. Not that that's as important, but for me, women in sports and seeing the empowerment movement going on, and the equal pay that the women's soccer girls are endeavoring upon, the women, I should say, tennis players and figure skaters. I believe in the wrestling, professional wrestling. it seems to me like the women are getting either equally as popular, if not even more popular than what's going on in the men. Because I do follow some on Twitter, and I do see some of this stuff. And is that an accurate thing to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we've come a long way in the wrestling world because to me, I felt like, especially in like the Attitude Era when I was growing up, they were using women as like almost like a visual play situation, just to, keep it PG. But I was like, no, like we have to change that. And I seen like Lita and Trish Stratus. Like when I seen Lita, she was training with the Hardy Boy, the Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy. She's jumping off I'm like, I want to do what she's doing. Like that's what actually inspired me to get to actually pursue it, because I'm like, wow, she's doing the same things that the guys can do. I am sure I can do it too. So now, like, there was the first women's ever pay-per-view with WWE. I believe it was last year. Oh my God, it was like one of the most. I was like, wow, I feel like I'm a little bit a part of history because this is happening now. I feel like, and it's been said to me, I have guys like, oh, you should be in the kitchen.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
With what? My frying pan and slap you up across the head with? Like, they make comments like that. And it was very annoying. But, for women, you just had to just keep looking forward and do what you got to do and show them that we can wrestle just as good as you. I had a situation where, and this guy is actually from WCW. He's a legend. And he said to me, swear to God, because I did my match, came out, whatever. He wanted to, give me some, some tips. He was like, oh, you need to be a little more sexy in the ring. I'm like, what does that mean? What do you mean? He was like, oh, you wrestle like us. I said, well, guess what? I trained with guys. I was the only female in upstate pro wrestling for a very long time. So obviously, I'm going to learn from the guys. So how am I gonna look sexy? Are you gonna teach me how to be sexy in the ring and do this and do that? Like, come on. So I think I told him off. I'm gonna save the words for another time.
Yeah.
And it's funny because after that conversation, because I told him off, and I think the other guys heard me. They didn't know who was going off on him, and I heard them chit-chatting like, "Oh my God, good for her."
Yeah.
You know.
It's interesting because here we are in 2020 and these are still conversations that happen, which I feel the good news, I think, in some ways, it seems like it's becoming less and less and there's more acceptance. And I'm having my daughters listen to this podcast because, they're playing sports and they play soccer and it's about their performance on the field and those things. And now on the flip side, there is the other aspect to it that could be used to your benefit. Like I had some of the women professional soccer players do fashion shoots and things and different kinds of outfits and attire. And part of it was part of the extension of their personal brand, which is good.
Yes.
And, our owners were supportive of those kind of things and make sure the players are. But some players want nothing to do with that either. So that's good as well. I mean, so now you've got a lot of things going on clearly from two businesses, more or less. You've got your wrestling, and now you're also into politics, and because you are involved with the town of Greece.
Yes.
So tell me about your political ambitions and what you do there.
So I would say 2013, I was working, I was actually working temporarily in City Hall in between classes. And just being around in that atmosphere, I've always been like fascinated by like our Constitution and just the way that our country has formed. And I was like, man, like I feel like I was meant to do something. So one day on my lunch break, I literally walked into the Monroe County Board of Elections, and said, hey, I want to run for office. The lady's like, okay. She said, where do you live? I was like, I live in Greece. She's like, well, you need to reach out to, and she asked me to party. I'm not going to share. And she's like, you need to talk to the committee leader there. I was like, okay, no problem. Give me his name and number. So met up with that person. And then I got involved in politics, like literally joined the committee. And I kind of stayed in the background. I helped on campaigns. I swear for years, it was like, oh, we're looking for people to run. I was like, I'm not ready. Like, I don't want to yet. I don't want to be in the public eye. But I think what inspired me in 2017 to run for office is the fact that Town Hall didn't have everyone represented in the community. And I was like, well, that's not quite right. Something has to change here. So I started running on a platform of diversity, transparency, and inclusion. And that was like, I felt like I had to at that time. Like, I feel like, it's either now or never. I know there was another woman before me that ran. She was minority. And I felt like that kind of encouraged me. I'm like, you know what? She did it. Wasn't successful with the race because it's very hard in Greece running on this particular party, as this particular party. And I was like, you know what? Something has to change. Like, I just started knocking on doors. I started talking to people, wanted to know the issues they wanted to be addressed at, town hall. And it just spiraled from there. I ran. I didn't win, but it was a close race the first time. And 2018, January, they wanted me to be the town leader for the committee. So I served for 2.5 years. I actually was serving the previous leader's term because he stepped down. I came in, and then that September, I was reelected. And I felt like we made some waves. Like, a lot more people started getting involved, becoming active. I had young, I had old, I had Black, I had white, I had Spanish. It didn't matter who you were. I was inviting everyone to the committee. I just feel like if you truly want to see some type of change, it starts on a local level. Yes, the presidential race is important, but it's not going to affect your day-to-day life, not like the local politics. So I ran for town board again in 2019. While trying to be leader, so that was kind of difficult. But I did run a full slate of candidates to challenge every seat that was up that year. Wasn't playing any games. But yeah, we just have to encourage people to get involved in politics because it does affect your day-to-day life. I see myself still continuing on going forward. Right now, I am taking a break because it's been some time. But it's very important to make sure that your voice is heard and that there is inclusion and there's diversity, of course, and make sure that everybody is represented.
Wow, it's you're inspiring, and I can tell your energy and your passion is pretty amazing. And so when you look at this is the cliche, the old 3 to 5 year down the road kind of thing. Like, where do you see yourself going with all these interests and all the business endeavors? Do you think you're going to continue to expand and take on new experiences? Do you think that one of the 4 or 5 that you're involved with right now, you're going to kind of maybe have that be more of your like anchor, or how does it look for you, do you feel? Or is it still too early to tell?
No, not right now. I'm actually truly focused on building up my real estate business and because I've been in business for 5 years now with Conversance. My goal is to become the top virtual assistant firm in the United States. I want to be able, because like for my clients, like I mentioned earlier, I'm like a professional connector. I'm very resourceful. Like there's so many things out there that's beneficial to a lot of business owners, and they're unaware of it. So I try to shine light on that and show them like, hey, take advantage of these opportunities now. And so that's my focus right now. And then as far as the real estate goes, there's also more of a I'm trying to find like the word for it. For me, like I'm trying to break generational curses and build generational wealth. And in order to do that, you can't just put, like you said, one egg, all your eggs in one basket. Try a little bit of everything to see where it can lead you and just let it flow. Real estate to me, there's a lot of people who feel like it's out of reach, it's out of touch. That's not true. That's not true. There's so many opportunities out there for you. There's grant money out there for you. I'm connected with lenders. I'm connected with landlords. Like, it's possible. And I'm trying to change that narrative for, groups of people. Yeah.
And I think you touched on this a little bit earlier when we were talking as it relates. So you had your experience, mini public speaking when presenting when you were at the Startup Summit. I would encourage you strongly, to get on panels or to be involved in those discussions, because the minute you become one of the people up on the stage versus in the audience, to your point, now you become an influencer, and then people are going to come to you and look for your advice. And Same thing on social media and even in the political world, right? Because you're up there and you're more of a public presence in that manner. So you're saying those are all the right things. And I feel like, and then not only else on the social media platforms, given, like you said, being a giver and recognizing other people's achievements, because success stories build success stories as well. So, so you touched on those really key points as well, which is impressive. So another question is, what is and I know there's two sides of business. Like there's one, hey, you got to pay the bills, get your clients in so you could, keep the business going. But then there's also like the ideal profile of client, like the clients you like to work with the most, the ones you feel like you can have the most impact. Do you feel like you're going into any kind of niches or like the perfect kind of client that you really like to work with, whether it's a kind of business track that they're in or an aspect of the business that really works for you?
Honestly, like it's funny because I get asked this question so many times. It's like I don't know how to answer it, to be honest with you,
Right.
because I don't work. I don't work just because of like the industry or the type of business you're in. It's actually like if I can't vibe with you as a person, I can't work with you as you being my client. I like to work with entrepreneurs and business owners who has like I like to see their ideals actually go into fruition and actually build upon that dream. Just to share one client, which was very cool. They wanted to open up an exotic reptile spot. It was just an idea. And I was able to actually help them take that idea out of their head, put it on paper, created the business plan for them, help connect them to, vendors so they can start building up on inventory, and also had no idea that there's an entire expo about reptiles.
There's a whole world, I'm sure, out there, right? Yeah.
That is so cool.
There's a reptile land on the way down to D.C. area on Route 15. I pass by all the time.
Yeah, see? I had no idea until I did my research.
Sure.
And the fact that they were able to set up for the first time that November, because we started working with each other like January of last year. And then November, they had their whole display at the expo, like ready to go. I was like, see, that's what I like to see. So it's not about the money. Yes, I have to pay bills. But I really like to see people's dreams come to life, So.
Okay. So that leads me to my final, because we're running a little bit out of the of time today. And we could keep going for sure, like probably 2 more hours.
I could talk.
I know this has been great. So there's a quote that you have on your LinkedIn page, and I'm just going to read it, put the old man glasses on for a second. Sometimes you will fail, but the only way you can be a failure is if you stop trying. What is it about that quote that made you post it on your LinkedIn page, and what is it that resonates with you? Because I think it's a good one.
I live by that. Success, a lot of people feel like, oh my God, I can't fail. They're scared of failure. You cannot be scared of failure. You're going to fail. It's inevitable. If you decide to fail and you stop there, then yes, you are a failure because you stopped trying. In order for you to truly be successful, you have to fail. And you might bump your head a couple times, but get up, keep it moving. And that's just, I live by that. Truly
now, wrestling must prepare you for that as well, right? Because you probably get knocked down a lot.
I get right back up. Matter of fact, I'm going to send you a link to my video.
Okay, I don't know not to mess with you at all. So what do you, in closing this conversation today, and thank you so much for coming in. It's been great, and it's inspiring, and you never know sometimes when I have these conversations which directions they'll trend, and I appreciate the support of the Startup Summit as well. So hopefully we'll get a chance to reschedule that come the spring or early summer. But what else do you want people to know about your business and how they can find you? Where can they follow you on the social platforms? So just tell us where we can kind of find you and how to engage with you if that's what people are interested in doing.
Yes, absolutely. So you can find us on Facebook, Conversance Business Solutions, as well as LinkedIn. I just try to keep it very simple, Conversance Biz. So that's all of our social media handle. I'm also working with the Rochester Women Online magazine. I'm actually now their business talk columnist. So I have been writing articles for them for the last 3 months. Super excited that the December issue just posted yesterday. So you can, you guys can go ahead and check that out. Hopefully I'll share the link with you so you can share that with them as well. And I'm trying to think of anything else to say. I think that's it for me.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Rumella. So that was, this is Rumella Cameron, CEO and founder of Conversance Business Solutions, also a real estate agent at Keller Williams Realty. Rumella, thank you so much for coming in. Have a great holiday season. Thank you to RockVox Studios. And Scott, we can wrap today's show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. Thank you.
Today's show was brought to you by Freedom X Sanitizer for Business. Keep your employees, customers, and clients safe with Freedom X Sanitizer for Business. Visit freedomxsanitizer.com.